Thank you all for giving me this opportunity to share our research here. Just to start off, I'm going to give a little background on Tecovirimat and the A5418 study, or STOMP as it's called as well. Tecovirimat is a viral protein P37 inhibitor which was approved for smallpox treatment via the animal rule. Both the virus that causes smallpox and Mpox are orthopox viruses, and the viral protein P37 is conserved across orthopox viruses. So during the global outbreak in 2022, Tecovirimat was made available to treat Mpox via expanded access IND. Prior to this global outbreak, PK data for Tecovirimat was limited to healthy volunteers, and even post that outbreak, PK data in Mpox individuals with Mpox is very limited. The ACTG A5418 study, or STOMP, was started to assess the safety, efficacy, and PK of Tecovirimat versus placebo. However, it's notable that this study was stopped early due to DSMB interim analysis showing no effect of Tecovirimat treatment on lesion resolution or reduction in pain for clade 2 Mpox infection. And these findings are similar to what was reported in the PALM 007 and UNITY trials, which were also looking at Tecovirimat treatment for Mpox. Previously, my colleague showed that in a small cohort of individuals in the A5418 study, in the open label arm, Tecovirimat concentrations were lower than predicted from healthy volunteers. In these figures, we have predicted AUC 0 to 12 and C12 concentrations, split up by HIV, or those with HIV, those without HIV. That red dot is a pregnant participant, and then the pooled non-pregnant data. The shaded region is the 5th to 95th percentile from the FDA healthy volunteer model, with the median, that dotted line in the middle. And then below that we have therapeutic thresholds from non-human primate studies dosed with 10 milligram per kilogram or 3 milligram per kilogram Tecovirimat. And we're seeing lower than expected values here. However, we're kind of at or above the 10 milligram per kilogram NHP dose threshold. So taking all of this into consideration, it's critical to understand the PK of Tecovirimat in those with Mpox. To do that, we're going to develop a population PK model for Tecovirimat in persons with Mpox using the data that was available from the A5418 study as of March 2025. And then we're going to compare model parameters and their variability to those from the healthy volunteer model, and perform simulations with our model to predict day 14 Tecovirimat exposures in participants with Mpox, and then compare AUC to 0 to 24, Cmax and C-tau values to the healthy volunteer model values, as well as the C-tau values to the non-human primate therapeutic thresholds, the 10 milligram per kilogram threshold. To give you an idea of our data and the sampling schedule, individuals were given weight-based Tecovirimat. 40 to 120 kilograms got twice daily 600 milligrams, and those over 120 kilograms got 3 times daily. Treatment lasted 14 days, with sparse sampling occurring on days 3, 8, and or 15. And a subset of participants also got intensive sampling on day 8, which consisted of pre-dose, as well as 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, and 10 hours post-dose sampling. This resulted in a data set from 75 participants, where 41 got intensive sampling, and in total 404 observations were included, with 315 of them being from intensive sampling. To develop our population PK model, we used Phoenix and investigated 1 and 2 compartment models with additive, multiplicative, or combined error models. We also looked at including a lag time, as well as full block covariance. And we also looked at fixed allometric scaling of weight normalized to 70 kilograms on the volume of distribution and clearance, as well as the effect of meal on the relative bioavailability and absorption rate. And this was looked at either by no meal versus meal, or no meal versus moderate fat versus high fat. And that little table is just showing a breakdown of samples with meal or fat content, and the weight breakdown. As a reminder, we're comparing to the healthy volunteer model. So that was a 2-compartment model with combined error, T-lag, fixed allometric scaling of weight on volume and clearance normalized to their population median weight of 79.8 kilograms. and they also had a food effect on Ka and bioavailability. Our final model ended up being a one-compartment model with combined error. We also have a T-lag and the full block covariance. We also have the fixed allometric scaling of weight normalized to 70 kilograms on volume and clearance. As you can see, our inter-individual variability on Ka, T-lag, and volume are all fairly high, especially for Ka, over 120%. And also of note, we did not see a significant effect of meal on Ka or bioavailability, but this might be due to some limited sampling or self-report, things like that. On the right, we have a visual predictive check of our model with the observed 5th, median, and 95th percentiles in the red lines. Then the simulated, or the predicted intervals are the black lines with 95% confidence intervals shaded around them. And you can see we're generally falling, our observed percentiles are falling within those shaded regions, except for maybe a little bit near the Cmax in the median, or maybe underpredicting a little bit. Comparing our model parameters and the variability to the healthy volunteer data, our Ka is similar across groups, or across models. However, we do have that really high inter-individual variability. We also see a notable increase in T-lag compared to the healthy volunteers. A little bit lower volume, but fairly comparable there. And then a higher volume, a higher clearance with slightly higher variability. And to note, the volume and clearance for the FDA model have been adjusted so they can be directly comparable to our model estimates, which were normalized to 70 kilograms instead of the 79.8. For our simulations, we did 100 replicates per study participant in the A5418 cohort that we have here. And the main takeaway from our table on the left, which show simulated AUC, Cmax, and C-tau values, is that they're all 36 to 39% lower than were expected. And you can kind of see that on the right with the simulated concentration versus time curve. The FDA is in gray, and the A5418 is in blue. And we're seeing, the lower Cmax, the lower C-tau, lower AUC, and also a little bit of that prolonged T-lag. Comparing the simulated C-tau values to the NHP therapeutic threshold of 169 nanograms per mil. From our simulated C-tau values, 8.5% are falling below that threshold. And then also some results for the PALM study. These are observed C-tau values in adults greater than or equal to 19 years old. And 15% of those are falling below that threshold. So we're seeing a little bit higher concentrations in A5418, but generally comparable. In conclusion, we showed that PK differs between those with Mpox and healthy volunteers, and we also showed that predicted AUC 0 to 24 Cmax and C-tau values from the simulated A5418 subjects are lower than the healthy volunteers. We also showed that despite these lower exposures, about 91.5% of the simulated C-tau values are above the NHP therapeutic target. Going forward, we want to develop a final population PK model with the full A5418 dataset and then investigate PK-PD relationships with clinical and virological outcomes. I want to thank all the people that worked to make the study happen, the people and these organizations, as well as the grant funding, and of course the participants, and all the people in the 67 sites across the US, Puerto Rico, Argentina, Brazil, Japan, Mexico, Peru, and Thailand that made this happen. And thank you for your attention.